So I'd like to share a story this week that I heard today, and I thought, you know what, this would be something that I'd love to pass on because it's something that I don't think about very often in its insurance. And I know I brought insurance up a lot this year because we've seen it surface consistently. And we have people that we refer to on the insurance side. I'm a big fan. This year I've learned more, and over the last few years I've learned more about insurance brokers and how they're a different, there's a different service with a broker versus maybe a captive agent. If you have questions about what that could look like for you, feel free to give me a shout and I'll let you know a couple people that I'd recommend there. But I think realistically, like today, heard a conversation, and the conversation went a little bit like this, where the owner of a condo was sent some information in the mail, and it was something from their HOA. Their HOA was letting them know that the insurance for their condo was essentially going up. And the part of it that was going up was the deductible. So what ended up happening was, whereas this owner buys a condo with the understanding that she has insurance on her property, right? She's got insurance. Well, the deductible for her insurance was $50,000, right? So technically, she's got no insurance because she's coming out of pocket for anything that's essentially less than $50,000. And even at that point, like, would the HOA run it through insurance if she had a claim that was bigger than that? Probably, but dang, what would it take to get something to $50,000 in a condo? We have leaks, we have fires, we have floods, right? All of those things happen, but rarely do we see something that costs $50,000 or more. Like that's big in a condo, right? So I think realistically, like, something to pay attention to. The solution in this case was the insurance broker basically shopped out a plan for that person. That person now has their own plan, their own policy on that same property, because again, the policy that the HOA put on there might cover certain items, might cover what's on the outside of the walls and the walls out, which I guess in this case, and again, I'm not an insurance person, but I guess it did somehow help if there was like a flood from one unit to the next. But in this particular case, now that she's got this new plan, which isn't that expensive in the grand scheme of things, now she's got a significantly lower deductible and the confidence of knowing that she's got a great plan, and if something were to happen, she knows it's going to be covered, and she knows what the cost is really going to be. So I think that's something to think about as we migrate from. There was an article that came out in it was some article that gets sent to my inbox, and it talked about the top states for the highest insurance, right? And Florida's at the top. And it made me think about, okay, all the investors that are buying in Florida or buying in Texas or buying in these areas with very, very, very high insurance. The top 10, California wasn't even on the list. Like, I was shocked by that. It wasn't even on the list of top 10s because the cost of insurance in some of these other states is just so astronomically higher. It's so much higher. And, Arizona, that's something that we don't have to deal with as often. However, we are seeing people getting dropped. So again, you might not have any claims on your property, but for some reason your insurance decides to drop you, and it's just a good idea to make sure you're opening your mail, which I am so guilty of not doing. I rarely will, it's like mail, I don't know. I struggle with that. But again, make sure you're opening your mail. Make sure if you get notices, you're sending that stuff into us, and we're having conversations about what needs to be done to make sure that you're adequately covered on your property. Hope this helps. See ya.